How's everybody doing out there? This is The Awakening. I am Solican, and I want to get into this message quickly for the Lord. And I want to talk about, use this message to edify a great woman of the Lord, Miriam, the sister of Moses. A lot of times, we don't edify the women in the Bible enough. Like, we don't give the women who gave credit to enough credit. We know that the Bible, a lot of the books in the Bible were written by men and the names, the authors were men. But then there are also some women that were righteous and deserved a credit in those times as well. Ruth, Miriam, Mary Magdalene. We have a lot of examples of how women we have glaring examples of how a God-fearing woman looks. You know, they call Miriam a prophetess. Look up what a prophet is, and then look at the female. This is the female version. This is one of the only women in the Bible to be called a prophetess. It's not saying she was preaching or whatever and whatnot. She was a prophetess, though, a woman of God. She knew the word. She knew the thing. She knew God's laws. She followed them. She followed Moses. She followed Moses and Aaron. Let's just go ahead and give you a little bit of the actions and the life of Miriam. And this is thus saith the Lord. This is the Bible. In the book of Exodus, let's start at chapter 15. Says the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shipporah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them on the delivery stool, if it's a boy, kill him. Get him out of there. Kill him. If it's a girl, let her live. This is what the Egyptians were doing because they thought that the Hebrews were they were breeding. They thought that they were going to overthrow them. This is what happens in societies, man. Even in society today, you have people who manipulating, looking at people like numbers. These are the rich people and people in power in society. They have meetings to manipulate and move people like numbers. Who's to say that they're not talking about, the keeping up the abortion rates and promoting abortions and keeping keeping people sick or killing people for that matter. This is what they were doing in the biblical times. Imagine what they do today. You have to have discernment. So they were saying that if it's a boy, kill him. If it's a girl, let her live. And this is in the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 17. The midwives, however, feared God. They didn't do what the king of Egypt told him to do. They like, heck no, I'm not going to do that. I fear the Lord. I'd rather die than have my soul burned. So they let the boys live. They were just ignoring what the king of Egypt said. And then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, he summoned them and said unto them, why have you done this thing and saved the men and children alive? The midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women. They are lively and are delivered ere in the midwives come in to them. Therefore God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. What the midwives, I can go read this from the New International Verse if you didn't get that. The midwives told Pharaoh that the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. They're vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive. So they're saying the midwives tried to put it off on them, like saying that before we get there, the baby's already born, so we can't do anything. And see, God looked at them and had favor on those midwives. When I'm talking about Miriam, do you see how there's other women who the Bible don't ever talk when the Bible, people say the Bible is sexist, the Bible is a man's, but when people say that silly stuff, these are people who've never ever read the Bible for themselves. They just hear internet talking points. Because in just me telling you about Miriam, I just showed you many women, multiple women, midwives that God had favor upon because these women feared God. They weren't going to do what the king of Egypt told them to do. In fear of death, in fear of nothing, they feared God. And those women, it said that God dealt kindly to the midwives because of that. He had favor on them. He blessed them. He increased them because of that. And it came to pass because the midwives feared God that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast them into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive. So now Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, he's taking it to the next level. He's saying, okay, since I couldn't get them, we couldn't abort the children. Now we want to kill them. We want to kill them as babies. Like we couldn't abort them. Now we want to kill them alive. We just want to kill them. You know, it's kind of similar to, the things that happened in antebellum slavery and things like that. The Hebrews were in slavery. Pharaoh is like, look, they getting too big. I don't want them to overtake us, but we still need them as slaves. So he's trying to control that. So now he's saying, okay, we didn't. The midwives started my plans to kill them in the, to kill them in the womb, or just kill them as infants, as newborns. Now I'm going to kill them as children. I just want to kill them, period, alive. When I now cast them into the river when they born. And there was a man, and this is in Exodus chapter 2, verse 1. And there was a man of the house of Levi who took a wife of the daughter of Levi, a house of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. When she saw that he was a godly child, she hid him there 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took him from the ark of brushels and daubed it with slime and with a pitch, and put the child therein, and laid it in the flags by the river's brink. Listen to this part. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. To see, Miriam stood off. They never mentioned her name in that part, but later in context, we could figure out it was Miriam. Miriam never, she stood afar off and wanted to see what was done to her brother. She could have been one of them sisters, be like, hey, whatever, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to do that because I could get killed. She could have been one of them sisters to be like, hey, man, it's not me. This the boy. They killing them. Hey, we got it good. She could have been, because see, a lot of women today, if you listen, like this world today is trying to pit. They want to do whatever they can to disrupt the things of the good things of the Lord. That's what Satan wants to do in this world. And they trying to put men and women against each other. God forbid, the two people who should get together like lock and key, they want to put the two people that keep the world going, they want to put them against each other. And they would have you to believe that men don't care about women and women don't care about men. They'll have, like, you see some of these women on the internet, you would think that they wouldn't toss water on a man who was on fire. But look at what a God-fearing woman does, a woman who loves her heavenly Father. Miriam, at the threat and duress of the Pharaoh and all that, she stood afar off to see what was done to her brother. She cared about her brother. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. The maidens walked along the riverside. When she saw the ark among the flag, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she opened it, she saw that she saw that there was a child. And behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him. And she said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter. See, Miriam was not only brave, she's smart. Miriam was smart because she saw that Pharaoh took favor on the little baby, on her brother. She didn't tell him it was her brother, but she went down to Pharaoh's daughter and said, shall I go call the nurse Shall I go call thee a nurse of one of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. What happened was Miriam was smart. Again, she saw that Pharaoh's daughter, she saw that she had favor on Moses, and she wanted to take care of him, wanted to take him in. She wasn't going to kill him. So in order to keep Moses safe and help and ease that transition of Pharaoh's daughter, and also she was aware that his mother could have weaned him. She did all these things in one time. This is how God, the blessed people of God, puts things in order. She knew all those things and she was aware of that. So she went down and told Pharaoh's daughter that. And then Pharaoh's daughter, unbeknownst to her, told her to go get the child's mother to wean him. So Moses' mama get her baby back to wean him. And it said, and the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. That's after the child was nursed by Pharaoh's mother. I mean, by Moses' own mother. She nursed him and then gave him to Pharaoh's daughter. But she knew that he was safe. And she knew that he was safe. She knew that he wouldn't be killed. She knew that. And his sister, was there to assure the mother of that. That's what brave Miriam did. Now, this is another thing that people don't know about Miriam. When the Israelites, when the Egyptians, they all got killed when they were lying dead. Let's start at Exodus, the book of Exodus, chapter 29 says, but the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with the wall of water on the right and on the left. The day of the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians, and Israel saw that the Egyptians were lying dead on the shore. And do you understand? This is after the Lord parted the Red Sea, and the Hebrew Israelites passed through. They passed through on dry land. And then as soon as the Egyptians tried to follow them, God started closing up that body of water. Only he could do that. Only God. And he closed it up. And all of the Hebrew Israelites passed on dry land. And they said that when they looked, they saw that the Egyptians were lying dead on the shore. Some of them chariots was in the sea. They got crushed when the sea came back together. And then they saw a lot of them laying dead on the shore, just dead at their feet. They didn't do nothing. They didn't fight them. They did nothing. And when the Israelites saw that great power that the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord and put their trust in Moses. They put their trust in him and Moses, his servant. And that brings us to the song of Moses and Miriam. Then Moses and the Israelites sang a song unto the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and his rider he hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God. I will praise him. My father's God. I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen captains are also drowned in the sea. The song goes on, but that's it's called the Song of Moses and Miriam. And in the book of, again, we're still in Exodus, and this is chapter 15, verse 20. It says, and Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, sing ye to the Lord, for he had triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he had thrown into the sea. This is the song of Miriam and Moses. Do you understand? Like, she was getting everybody hyped. She's following Moses. She have faith in the Lord. Do you see what she's saying? She says, sing to the Lord. He is highly exalted. Miriam is a God-fearing woman. These are women that we need to be looking for. These are women who we need to edify. Not a 304 or a good thought. No, we should be edifying these women. Do you understand? Miriam told everybody to go out. She had grabbed timbrels in her hand. She was, how you see the women in church clapping, using the timbrel symbol. Like the timbrel instrument. She was one of the first ones to do that. In as far as in worship. She started that. Miriam, yeah, y'all got her swag. And she said, sing to the Lord, for he had triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has hurled into the sea and saved Israel alive. He saved the Hebrew Israelites by his own hand. And Miriam realized this. And this was a woman, again, who was called, the Bible calls her the prophetess. So with that being said, I just wanted to edify, a woman, a great woman of Christ in the Lord, a great woman who in the Bible, because we tend to look over them and that gives grounds for people to try to make up silly things about the word of the Lord. So with that being said, this is The Awakening. I am Solican. I'm gone.